Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Faye Answered Questions podcast, where the Faye family tries to answer questions about life. Joining me on this episode, as with last episode, I have my lovely parents here. Hello, Mom and Dad.
Hello.
Hello.
And joining us is my sister, Felicity.
Hi.
Okay, so let's dive right on in then. The first question we have is, what are homeowner associations or property owner associations? Second part of that is, why do they suck? So since my mom has the most experience with this, with her job, I'll let her go ahead and answer this.
Okay. Homeowner associations, HOAs, or property owner associations, POAs, are set up in subdivisions to help maintain a quality of homes or presentation of the neighborhood so that your property values stay higher. That is if it's a good one. What this entails is each one is different. So if you are in a subdivision that has single family homes, it may include maintenance of your yard, of the irrigation. It can help cover the cost of having the amenities of the neighborhood, the pools, the walking trails, the playgrounds, that kind of stuff. The bad part of all of this is they can dictate the color of your home, what your fence looks like, if you can have any decorations in your front yard, what your landscaping can look like. If you can, have your pink flamingos being flocked by somebody in your neighborhood or not. A lot of POAs say no, they can go as far as to dictate what color of playground equipment you have in your backyard for your children, such as your climbing playhouses and that kind of stuff. Sometimes they can be, sometimes they can be overly nitpicky. The cost of them varies. If you are in a condo or a apartment building, a lot of times that will take care of the maintenance of the outside of the building, of the plumbing that runs through the building, of the electrics that run through it, like getting that part repaired, and the maintenance of the buildings, like the air conditioning and heating units that go with it, that kind of stuff. When you are purchasing, you need to look at those covenants. You need to see what's in there. You need to see if you can live with that, if that's going to be a problem for you. And you also need to look at how much those HOA fees are. They can become very pricey, and sometimes, depending on where you are and what they offer, it can be as much as, I know we have one neighborhood that it is almost $1,600 a month. Yeah,
You're telling me that
$1,600 a year. Sorry, not a month.
I was about to say, on top of your mortgage payment, you're paying what a month?
Some of them in the bigger, like multi-million-dollar neighborhoods, that's not uncommon. Ours, the highest one we have at the minute is almost $1,600. That's a year. Here's the kicker. A lot of the HOAs, the POAs want that upfront in January. So if you are not diligent to break that up in a 12-month cycle and put that money aside, you're not only coming out of Christmas and what you spend on that, your property insurance, your rates, your mortgage payment, and then you're having to pay that on top of it. So it's one of those things. It can be a good deal if it takes care of yard care, so you don't have to take care of your yard, but it can be pretty expensive and a pretty hefty fee on top of what you're already paying.
Yeah, and that's the thing that gets me is so you pay like $200,000-$300,000 for a home that you enjoy, and then you have to abide by what just a random group of people say, and then you have to pay them a fee on top of that.
Yes.
And don't they have the ability to fine you if they drive past your house and don't like something?
Yes, if it's not within the covenants of the POA and not of the neighborhood, they can fine you for that.
Oh, well,
And
fuck
yes, it
that.
is it is a fine, and they can put a levy on against your house, and they can actually bring a lawsuit against you. It can be ugly.
That
Most
sounds entirely un-American.
That's it. I'm moving to the mountains. Buy a piece of land, just live up there like a freaking hermit.
It's totally American. The HOA was designed by people with no brains for people with no brains to live in the same neighborhood and have a collective deficit of brain and be told exactly what they must and must not do in order to live in that neighborhood. It is totally designed for the average American to live. They have no say because that's the way they like it, because they cannot think for themselves.
Dad coming in with the controversial statements. Look out, everybody.
Alright, so it's official.
Anytime,
According to Dad, stupid flocks
anytime.
together.
Exactly. Exactly. Or birds of a feather flock together. So therefore, stupid resides in a HOA community because you can't figure out that you need to paint your house and stop have it flaking on the gutters. Neither can you figure out that, holy shit, your weeds don't need to be 4 foot tall. You must mow your fucking grass. Hey, guess what? That's what the HOA tells you to do.
And Dad,
Man.
sliding into first place. You got something you want to tell us?
And well, not just stupid flocking with stupid, but it sounds like that could be exploited in some cases, like racially, for example.
yes,
Where
yes.
have you ever encountered any example of that happening in real life or heard about it happening, Mom? Not in your neighborhoods, but in other neighborhoods.
It happens in all neighborhoods. Part of that is if the homeowners within that neighborhood are the ones running the POA, HOA, you tend to get a core group that get elected to the board of that, and then they start making changes and manipulating the system to fit what they want, which then can cause a lot of problems. So yeah, I've heard of it. It's not nice. It's not something
It's where the
that's
Karens go to breed the mini Karens.
yes. And then, there are companies that run there are companies that that's what they do. They run HOAs and POAs for neighborhoods and subdivisions, and usually they are the ones that are put in place by builders that are building out the neighborhood because they don't have time to deal with it, and they put a company in place that deals with that for them. And most homeowners do not want to take it over once they realize how much is involved in it. And so those companies make the money. And that's part of the HOA fees is you're paying that company to run your HOA or your POA.
Makes sense. And I've just done a quick Google here. So from the very trusted source of Wikipedia, if you've heard of it, um, I was looking at the history of HOAs, and it's saying that they were first established by land developers sometime in the mid 19th century. So these things aren't new. Um, but
But
however,
they are American
they are, yes, okay. But it
because
was,
no Australian developer would ever come up with a HOA. You see, in Australia, you develop a subdivision and you put in the streets and everything, and then you turn it over to the local city council who runs everything, and the property owners look after their own property. Here, they're too dumb to do so. So you have to have a HOA that looks after the streets. Why? Because the council doesn't want to assume the expense of the street. Neither does the property developer want to maintain the street. So we developed the HOA. which alleviates both parties of looking after common property.
Fair enough. And also going on in this article, it says HOA's growth increased in the 1960s after residential development was encouraged by the Federal Housing Authority and Urban Land Institute.
Yes, good old HUD.
Yeah, so it sounds like what Dad was saying. Things grew a whole lot, and the local council didn't want to deal with it, or property developers didn't want to deal with it, so they created the HOAs.
Yep.
If I ever buy in a development where they tell me I can or cannot have my garage door up or down at a certain time, please just shoot me. It would be a lot easier.
Awesome. Oh, that answers my next question that I had was, have either of you lived in an area that was run by an HOA?
No, we made sure we didn't.
Hell no.
I'm paying for the property. I'm paying the rates, taxes, the insurance, the mortgage. You're not going to tell me what I can and can't do on it. I have a problem where we are now that I can't cut the trees down that I need to. I have to do it stealthily.
See, that's what pisses me off more than anything. Like, if I bought a damn house, if I want to paint that thing periwinkle, I will paint the damn thing whatever color I want. I am paying for it.
I mean, yeah.
Exactly, and that's where I'm at. It is my slice, piece, whatever, of the country. And in America, the slice/piece that you own is from the core of the earth to the sky above. So you should be able to do whatever the hell you want to do on that piece of /dirt/core of the earth/sky above that you want to do. However, they want to dictate, be it HOAs, POAs, or city councils, such as the beautiful, environmentally friendly, tree hugging leftist dumbasses that we have in power here where we live, that tell you if a tree is more than 10 inches in diameter, you can't cut it down, even though it is tearing up your house foundation and in danger of falling over and taking out the main power lines for the community. When it does that, they want to fine you and use your homeowner's insurance to pay for the repairs, although they made the law that said you can't take the tree down. So there's a lot of issues, not only in HOAs and POAs, but within the city councils themselves within this country about what you can and can't do on your own property. If you buy a piece of property, and I'll put it this way, whenever you rent that property from the bank because you pay your monthly mortgage and you own it, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want. If I want to tear my house down and I want to rip all the trees out and I want to put in a farm of basil, not their issue. The issue is I own it, I'm paying for it, I'm current with the bank, I've got the insurance to cover it. I should be able to farm basil if that's what the hell I want to do. Yeah, but that's the reason. And it's like HOA. Like we have a multi-million-dollar establishment north of us where they tell you that you cannot park a car in your driveway and your garage door must always be down. If I'm paying $10 million for a house, my answer to that is a big capital letter F, capital letter Y. Because I'm paying $10 million, I'll do what the hell I want to do. Or I go buy somewhere where I can do it.
Absolutely.
We were not meant for suburbia.
Any more questions
Uh,
on that? Did we answer?
I think we've answered it pretty well and expressed our views on it.
Yes, I'm totally socialist, you can tell.
Yeah.
Totally get them.
Sorry if this puts your job in jeopardy, Mom.
They know how I feel.
What are they going to do? Fire you? I doubt it. They'd close down. Next question. So, following the theme from last week, it's a little bit more of an existential kind of question. Um, but are you happy with your life? Where it is right now, how you got to where you're at, your journey through life. Um, I'll start. Give you two, you three, time to think
I
about it.
really wish you could see what my face is doing right now.
No.
But for me, um, everything up until graduation of college, fantastic. Loved my life. Had two loving parents, great family. Um, I was pursuing something that I wanted to. Um, but everything in that year and a half after college hasn't been great. So
Little
for me,
character
I would,
building.
yeah, character building patience has been learned. Uh, but yeah, in that year and a half, I think has been probably the worst part of my life, if I had to say. And so currently, am I happy with where I'm at? No. But am I going to try and change that? Yes. So I don't know who wants to go. Who wants to go next?
Felicity, you're up.
Currently, I feel like I took a double barrel shotgun to the fucking chest, but I can see where I want to be, and it's not that hard to get there. It just takes time. So
Right.
I'm fairly okay with where I'm at right now. Better mentally than I have been in years. So,
Yeah.
but this time next year, everything else should have fallen into place. So it's just the getting there that sucks.
It's character building.
Take it back.
All right. Mom, I guess that's you.
Me?
Yes. So are you happy with your life?
Good days and bad days. It's been an interesting ride.
All right.
Yeah.
Short answer. Over to you, Dad.
I think, are you happy with your life right now? Depends on whether you have a plan for your life right now. If you have no plan, then the chances are you're not happy with where you are. If you have a plan and you're working that plan, then you know where you're at. And so you're not so upset about where you are. So someone, and for an example, so people can grab a hold of it and, you know, uh, think about what I'm saying. If you take 1 penny and you double that penny every day for 31 days, by the time you've finished doubling that penny, so day two's 2 cents, day three's 4 cents, day, four's 8 cents. By the time you finish doing that for 31 days, you're at like $10.75 million, or a bit more. Actually, it's like 10,767,000 and some odd change. So, most people don't have a plan, so they can't see that. So you bring someone in that's got that plan, and they're at day 15. Let's say, and day 15, I think from memory, is $164.84. they hit $164.84, and they're like, oh, well, I've hit where I'm at. So are they unhappy with where they're at? No, because they've hit their goal. I think people that are unhappy with their life are people that have no goals, are people that have no direction. They're people that have nothing. And they keep relying on the external to give them happiness. They don't have a actual hold. This will be controversial, but they don't have a hold on reality. You are your own reality in this world. So you can live, well, let's face it, the average American male in normal health, living the way they live, will reach 82. The average American female living the way they live will reach, I think it's 84 in 6 months. So they get 2 years and 6 months longer. But are they happy? No. Mainly because they've got no focus. It's the ones that look at, for instance, and this is a for instance, and it's a total off the wall example, and people can belligerent and beat me down as much as they want. But look at Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, who have built one of the most successful investment firms ever in Berkshire Hathaway, and look at their ages and look at what they're doing. It's because they've got a purpose. They've got something that they're living for. They know what they're doing, and so therefore they live longer because they know where they're at. They have a plan, and I think it's people without a plan that don't have the happiness and what's the word I'm looking for? Satisfaction in the life that they're living.
So for me, that brings up a couple of questions. First one was you brought up you don't think that people that you say that people that are unhappy with their life are people that don't have a plan. What about the people that had a plan but shit happened and they're suddenly on this entirely different trajectory where they're just not happy with?
Tuck, adult, tuck and roll, regroup, and start again.
Yeah. Okay. And Felicity, to a large extent, yes. And you've been through that with what you've done so far in your life, and you understand that, and I appreciate. And that's really the deal. So people come out of life. Let me. The easiest way is me. So I come out of high school with a plan on what I want. I've got a plan in where I think I'm going and what I'm doing, and where I want to be, and I'm heading in that direction. Through certain circumstances, life throws me a curveball, and I end up on a plane that I don't want to be on necessarily. So, as Felicity said, you take a step back and you regroup and you look at your life, and you make a new plan based on where you're at. and the decisions that you have made. Now, I think that's the biggest thing in all of this, in what Felicity said and what I'm saying, is that you have to be the one that makes the decisions. If you are not making the decisions, then you will forever regret what happens. Now, there may be other parties involved in making that decision, but when you consult and confer and talk about and hash out, and it could be a spouse, it could be a girlfriend, it could be a potential fiance, it could be anything, it could be anyone. And I'm not being narrow-minded here. I want to be open. Like, it could be your significant other, whatever. Like, I'm a very open person. I'm a very inclusive person. It could be your gay partner, your LBGTQ, whatever. I don't care. You know what I mean. I'm trying to be inclusive. If I'm offensive in being inclusive, then that's what I am. But if you consult that person or persons and make those decisions, and you're happy with those decisions that you made, then you shouldn't be unhappy with where you are, because you've planned it and you've made those decisions. It's the people that allow themselves to be pushed around by the forces of nature, the economy, the government, whatever, that they're not the ones making their decisions. Normally, they're the ones that are unhappy with where they're at.
Okay. I'll use myself as an example for external forces resulting in unhappiness here. But as I kind of stated on the last episode, so I got my degree in biomedical engineering. I was near the top of my class, and I could have had kind of whatever job I wanted or gone to grad school or whatever. But the job that I chose to go for was very kind of physically demanding, and it required me to sign a contract with the institution or whatever for a set amount of time, no matter if it was that job or another one within that institution. So I got injured in my leg, and I wasn't able to do that very physical job, and they shuffled me around to a different position, with one that I'm way overqualified for, and entirely unhappy with. And every time I try to take a step in a direction that would result in something better for myself and my situation, I keep finding that roadblocks just magically appear in front of me, and there's not a whole lot I can do about it. So like, I think I'm way overqualified for my job, but I try and apply for another position in the company, and suddenly, oh, you don't have these qualifications, or oh, you better get this in fast, or we're gonna send you away for 6 months type of thing. And I can say I'm definitely not happy not being the one in control of where I'm going and what I'm doing.
Yeah, but it's also the way you look at it, and it's not a permanent thing. It's a short term in the grand scheme of things. It's a short term. So you still have to make your plans. You're still somewhat in control of what happens after. You're still having a plan. So I think what Dad was trying to say, it's those people who have no contingency plan, no plan at all, no A through Z plan. They have, oh, this is it. That didn't work out, so I don't know what to do. I'm just not happy. It's something, we talked to, Dad and I were talking about sis earlier in the week and last week, and how, I think Josh, you and I were even talking about how she has a plan. Not only does sis have a plan, she's got A through Z. And if those aren't working, she'll take a combination and create a plan DFGZ, and we're good. There's a plan for the plan and the plan. There's always, okay, that didn't work. Here's the next step. You're always trying to improve, trying to get where you want to go and meet your end goal. And sometimes that little minuscule amount of time where you're not in control of it because of other circumstances, you have to look at it as, okay, I've got to finish this. When this is over, I need a plan to keep going, or I will never move ahead. And I know it's frustrating, and it's very, it can be very depressing, very downtrodden feeling that you're not in control. But it's also, and like you said earlier, it's a patience thing.
On that note, I have many issues that result in multiple plans because I refuse to be unhappy ever again.
Well,
and I refuse to be backed into a corner where my happiness is not important.
And what makes your life happy. And that's great.
I am not afraid to take a 2x4 to somebody standing in my way.
We know.
Granted, when
in the same vein, I think that's what I'm trying to say, sis, is what you just said. Obviously you relate to your generation better than I can because I'm old as dirt. Is that, and I'll use Joshua's situation as an example. You had a plan. You worked that plan, and you did diligently and worked that plan, and we were proud of you for the way you worked that plan. Like don't ever. But through circumstances outside of your control, something happened, which was your leg injury, that resulted in your plan not being able to come to fruition. Okay, we get that. Life throws us fucking curveballs, as the saying goes. Now you can sit there and you can bitch and moan and you can curse your luck and you can say, this is unfair and everything else. And you can hate your life. Or, as you've done, you can move forward by talking to your significant other and making new plans. Maybe I'll look at this. Maybe I'll look at that. Maybe I'll look at this. Well, just because you make new plans doesn't mean it's just magically going to appear. And that's the problem with the current generations, and I say generations, plural, in America, is that they think everything should just be handed to them. No, nothing is going to get handed. Life is hard. Life wants to grind you up, spit you out, and make you understand that you're nothing, you're insignificant. Well, and life just wants you to be, a conformist. If you're not happy with your life, it does not mean you should stop planning or working towards a plan or trying to make things happen. The people that are the unhappiest with their life, the ones that have the most regrets, the ones that are haunted by things that they should have done and didn't do, the ones that are, are upset at the fact that they never said, I'm sorry to the one they loved, or I love you to the one they should have, or the ones that hate the fact that they never ran to the train and went on the train to Budapest, Hungary, or went on the train to South America, or rode the Orient Express, or grabbed a plane and flew to the southernmost point of South Africa or South America or Europe. Those people, the ones that did all that and hate the fact they never did that, the ones that did all, hate the fact they never said I love you to the ones they should have, and all of that, they're the ones in the graveyard. They're the ones that are dead and buried. They're the ones that are gone. And the fact of the matter is, if you don't like where your life's at, you can change it. You can change it tomorrow with a simple decision and a simple action.
On that note, probably
Yes.
edging into our next subject of mental health whenever that pops up, I was supremely unhappy in Arkansas. And yes, I don't regret moving. There was not a whole lot of planning that went into that. I kind of just jumped. But I don't regret it.
Right.
Because I'm 100% certain, had I not done that, I probably would have shot myself by now.
I understand. And it's that is definitely for another podcast.
Veering off topic.
We'll get there in a couple episodes. Don't worry.
I think what Dad's trying to say is you live your life without regrets, so that when you're on your deathbed, you look back and you went, I had a good life. You're not looking back going, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. You need to, live life to the fullest. And it goes back to what I said, I believe it was last week. Society's not living your life. You're living your life. And as long as you are not hurting somebody else or breaking the law, you need to live your life, your best life, your way. When you try to conform it to what society wants and how that looks, that's when you end up in issues and problems. So, live your life with no regrets. If you're not happy where you are, make that change. And it's not going to be easy, but make the change. And if you need help making the change, get help making the change. There's people that'll help you and guide you and give you advice that have been there. If you want to be an entrepreneur, find that successful entrepreneur in the area you live. Get to know them. Ask them, how did you do it? How did you know that's what you wanted to do? Spend time with them. Let them talk. And the best way to learn is just to buy them a cup of coffee and let them talk. Don't, ask a leading question and then go with it and let them talk. And you learn more by listening and being able to apply it. And, it's one of those things, you develop those relationships and they'll give you little hints along the way on, oh, well, have you ever thought about doing X, Y, and Z instead of A, B, and C? And that little comment, if you really stop and think about it, could be what changes and catalyst to you struggling on your idea to making it flourish. And that it's it's not easy. It's hard work. Everything is hard work. It's not just going to fall in your lap. If things fall in your lap, it's like the lottery winners that have things fall in their lap. They won, but they don't have a plan. and they blow it all and are actually worse shape in 5 years than what they were before they won. So always look to the future, have a plan, have a goal.
Nice. And I've got a question for you, Mom and Dad. Kind of a little off topic,
Okay.
but I'm gonna phrase it two different ways. Feel free to answer whichever one you want. Um, Number one is, do you regret having kids as early as you did? And the second way of phrasing that is, where would your life be if you hadn't had kids when you did?
Um,
Heavy question. Don't spare the feelings. I can take it.
I mean, it's okay. I know we pretty much derailed whatever plans you guys had going for you.
you know, I don't regret it. It was definitely hard. Was not anything we planned. All of you were unplanned. Don't know how that happened. Finally
Well, when
figured
a
it out.
mommy and a daddy love each other very much.
Thank you. Um, you guys were not planned. You know, as we told you guys when you were growing up, we were young and dumb. You know, I don't know that if we hadn't had kids, we probably wouldn't be together. Our lives would have just met for that brief moment and moved on. Because, you know, quite honestly, that was not in either one of our plans at that point to have kids, get married, and figure out how to make it work. Okay. Yeah, we just, I don't know, where it would be now, that's really hard to say. Because you don't know what would have happened, what opportunities would have come each of our way if we hadn't ended up pregnant, hadn't gone on this path. But I mean, I know travel would have been involved in my life. I would have been in a different place. I wouldn't have been, I would not have been back where we are now. Living in the state we live in now, it would have been different. My plans were to travel internationally in business. But, you know, it is what it is, and it's been an interesting and fun ride. And I got 3 amazing children.
Love you. All right, Dad, your turn to answer the hard question.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you know, it's not a tough question. Do I regret having kids early? No. No. You know, I'm in my 40s. My kids are grown. So I've got plenty of life ahead of me. Do I think everyone is capable of having kids in their early 20s? No. Hell, you guys know that. I've looked at you guys and said,
You're
"Don't do
never
it."
getting grandkids from me, you know this.
Because yeah, I know, but I'm just like, not everyone's cut out to have kids in their early 20s, and most of the people that do it by mistake and have to grow up with their kids and they figure it out as they go along. You know, like the chances of finding a mature adult to have kids in their early 20s, and when I say early 20s, I'm saying under 25, is next to nothing. Like, yeah, as you guys know, I'm around university age kids for my work, and most of them as dumb as a box of rocks, even though they're at university. And I found out today, by the way, that college doesn't teach kids anything because most kids do not understand that they can retire in 10 to 15 years out of university following a few basic rules. So, you know, college is for the birds. And the amount of money people spend on college is crazy. But that's America, and that's a whole nother story.
I appreciate that, Dad.
Yeah, you're welcome. On the other side of things is, which was what? College kids early? No, don't kid that. How would my life be different? Uh, it, the long story short is no idea. No idea. Got no idea how different my life would be if I hadn't had kids early. I can guess at it, and I could tell you what I think my guess would be, but it's purely a guess. And I think the best example of that is if people uh, look up Gary Vaynerchuk on YouTube when he talks about whether you should do or should not do something and why you should or should not do something. He says you can't you got one or two decisions and you don't know how the other decision is going to work out. So pick one and go with it because you got no idea how the other one's going to play out. You know, with what I was doing and where I was at that point in time, there was one of two possibilities. I could have been mega wealthy and a figure in government, or I could have been dead. So, that's the two possibilities out of that scenario, other than where I chose to go. And even after I chose where I was going to go, it was a decision between staying alive and not staying alive. And you know, it, it, the, you never know. You don't know where things are going to go. You have to make a decision, and then you have to work that decision to the best of your ability to make it work. And all decisions, every time you make a decision, there is always follow-ups to that. So, and it goes back to the earlier question, Joshua and Felicity, of are you happy with where you're at? Well, you made a decision. Are you happy with that decision? Yes or no? Then, based on your answer, there's a follow-up. Okay, I am or I am not happy. What do I do or not do to keep going where I'm going or not going where I'm going? And so life is constantly, and I think that's what this this country in particular forgets to inform people of, is that life is constantly decisions. And government particularly want people just to fall in line and not make decisions. Because if they don't make decisions and they don't think for themselves, they're easier to rule. But life is constantly a decision. It's constantly thinking about where you are and where you want to be, and if you're happy or not happy about that. And you can change your life literally, from experience. You can change your life in less than 30 days. In less than 30 days, you can change your life. Not saying that in less than 30 days you will go from zero to millionaire. That is not what I am saying. But I am saying you can change the trajectory of your life in less than 30 days. But government as a whole doesn't want you to do that. government as a whole wants you just to succumb and be obedient to what they say because you're easier to rule. And if you go back through history, the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, go back through all of that. That's what they want. Fold, succumb, do what you're told. You're easier to command. And then the elite become richer and elite, and the rest of you become where the rest of you become. So, I would say that if you're not happy with your life, if you're not happy with where you are, you can change all of that within 30 days. But it comes down to you doing the research and you making the decision. And once you've made the decision, stick to it. You might have to change certain things along the way, but you don't have to change the entire outcome. That's from my old ancient up on the Himalayan mountains looking down on the Yetis, telling you, that's what you can do.
Oh yes, enlightened one.
All right, and I think that about brings us to the end of the episode.
Okay.
So, in conclusion, everyone out there, you are the master of your own fate, captain of your own ship.
Hell yeah.
You can change, your life and change your trajectory to be happier with your life, and that includes not moving somewhere that a homeowners association is.
True,
So,
true.
so on that note, I've been Josh,
I'm Mom.
I'm Felicity.
and that was Faye Answered Questions. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you again in the next
Peace out.
episode. Bye.
Bye.